Okay, we are going to read the last sutta of this chapter, bringing tranquility to the land. Number 9. Sitting to one side, the Brahmin Kuttadanta addressed the Blessed One, Master Gautama. I have heard that you understand how to conduct successfully the triple sacrifice with its 16 requisites. Now, I do not understand all this, but I want to make a big sacrifice. It would be good if Master Gautama would explain this to me. Then listen, Brahmin. Pay proper attention and I will explain. Yes, sir, replied Kuttadanta, and the Blessed One continued. And Sister Chaiko, would you like to read?
Number 10. Brahmin, once upon a time, there was a king called Mahavijita. He was rich, of great wealth and resources, with an abundance of gold and silver, of possessions and requisites, of money and money's worth, with a full treasury and granary. And when King Mahavijita was reflecting in private, the thought came to him, I have acquired extensive wealth in human terms. I occupy a wide extent of land which I have conquered. Let me now make a great sacrifice that will be to my benefit and happiness for a long time. And calling his chaplain, he told him his thought. I want to make a great sacrifice. Instruct me, venerable sir, how this may be to my lasting benefit and happiness.
Okay, thanks, Sister Chaikon. Okay, so here the Buddha draws a story from another king called Mahavijita. He has a lot of treasures. He was rich, and then the thought came to him as well. I have so many worldly stuff, quite extensive wealth in human terms. He too wants to make a great sacrifice. Let's take a look at footnotes number 13. Calling his chaplain Purohita. He was a Brahmin who served as an advisor on both religious and temporal affairs. Okay, so more like a counselor or an advisor. Okay. Okay, Sister Aikim, would you like to continue reading?
The chaplain replied, Your Majesty's country is beset by thieves. It is ravaged. Villages and towns are being destroyed. The countryside is infested with brigands. If Your Majesty were to tax this region, that would be the wrong thing to do. Suppose Your Majesty were to think, I will get rid of this plague of robbers by executions and imprisonment, or by confiscation, threats, and banishment. The plague would not be properly ended. Those who survive would later harm Your Majesty's realm. However, with this plan, you can completely eliminate the plague. To those in the kingdom who are engaged in cultivating crops and raising cattle, let Your Majesty distribute grain and fodder to those in trade. Give capital to those in government service. Assign proper living wages. Then those people being intent on their own occupations will not harm the kingdom. Your Majesty's revenues will be great, and the land will be tranquil and not beset by thieves. And the people with joy in their hearts, playing with their children, will dwell in open houses.
Thanks, Sister Aikim. Okay, so this is the advice by the chaplain. So he observed that initially the country is beset by thieves. it is ravaged. There's a lot of robbers. If the king were to tax this region, that would be the wrong thing to do. And so he observed that tax will not work, at least in this country. Suppose the king to think another way, to execute, imprison the robbers. This would not work as well, the advisor said, because those who survive would later harm the country. But he gave another plan. To those in the kingdom who are engaged in cultivating crops and raising cattle, the king should distribute grain and fodder. To those in trade, give them capital. To those in government, give them proper living wages. Like our government, or they assign extremely proper living wages. Perhaps that's why Singapore prosper. Then those people being intent on their own occupation will not harm the kingdom. So this is the advice given by the chaplain. Okay, the last paragraph, Sister Billy, would you like to read?
Okay. And saying, so be it, the king accepted the chaplain's advice. He gave grain and fodder to those engaged in cultivating crops and raising cattle, capital to those in trade, proper living wages to those in government service. Then those people being intent on their own occupations did not harm the kingdom. The king's revenues became great. The land was tranquil and not beset by thieves. And the people with joy in their hearts, playing with their children, dwelt in open houses. From Digha Nikaya 5, Kuttadanta Sutta, section 1, page 134 to 1-36. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thanks, Sister Billy. And with this, we have finished reading this chapter, chapter 4, the happiness visible in this present life. We have a little bit of time, so let's quickly recap what we have read so far in this chapter. So let's go to the detailed list of content. And then I will scroll through chapter 4. We started off with the introduction by Bhikkhu Bodhi. And then we enter into upholding the Dharma in society, where we read the King of the Dharma and the famous sutta, worshipping the 6 directions from Digha Nikaya 31. And then we move on to the family. We started off with parents and children, and how we should respect our parents, and how repaying one's parents is not easy. And then husbands and wives, we read different kinds of marriages, how to be united in future lives, and 7 kinds of wives. The third section is about present welfare and future welfare. And the next section is about right livelihood. Avoiding wrong livelihood, the proper use of wealth, a family man's happiness. The next section talks about the woman of the home. And the last one talks about the community, which we have just covered, at least the last 3 of them in this week. We started off with the 6 rules of dispute, 6 principles of cordiality. Purification is for all 4 castes. 7 principles of social stability, we started to read again this week. The wheel-turning monarch, which we read yesterday. And the last one, which we have just read, bringing tranquility to the land, from Digha Nikaya 5. Out of all this sutta, the one that we just covered, any sutta you would like to revisit? We can take a look again if you want to dive into a specific one. And any questions or comments so far?
I think the many principles are still very valid in today's, or rather not, now I should correct myself, I should say all, probably all, yeah, 99%, yeah, still apply in today's, our life. So very good reminders, and certain things, I mean, things change, but messages, how we should live our life in to get happiness, doesn't really change. Very basic stuff, but we probably forget and didn't do it along the way. Yeah, so to me it's quite amazing, because we always thought that last time people not so advanced lah, not so intelligent, you know, we are so techy, they're not so techy, but it's actually they are very wise. There's a lot of wisdom carried forward from the past. So there's a lot for us to learn from history and lessons from the past. Yeah, that's what I came to my mind when I read this. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the comments, Sister Billy. Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree with you, because most of the principles expounded here can still be applied, mostly applicable to many situations in our current life. Yeah. I think for me, especially the family, about parents and children, repaying one's parents, that one resonates with me, because I have a mom to take care of. Yeah. And then husbands and wives, not yet, because I'm still single, but this could be handy for the future. Yeah, if I get a girlfriend. I think another thing that I find interesting is that, like Bhikkhu Bodhi mentioned, the Buddha not only gave advice to the monk on how to practice meditation and how to walk the path all the way to reach enlightenment, he gives, like this chapter illustrates, there are many suttas where the Buddha gave advice to many lay people. Yeah. Not only about the practice, but about how to conduct their lives in general. Yeah. So this is why I think the Buddha is really impressive. His advice encompasses everyone who reach out to him. Yeah. And he will adjust and adapt his teachings based on the current situation, based on the disposition of the students listening. Okay, any other comments? We have a little bit of time, so let's take a look at an overview of what's to come. Yeah. Next time, we're going to read chapter 5, The Way to a Fortunate Rebirth. Yeah. We will talk about the law of karma, firstly. There will be 4 kinds of karma. Why beings fare as they do after death, karma and its fruits. And the second section, we will talk about merits, the key to good fortune. There will be meritorious deed, 3 bases of merits, the best kinds of confidence. The third section is about giving. If people knew the result of giving, reasons for giving, the gift of food, a superior person's gifts, mutual support, and rebirth on account of giving. The fourth section is about moral discipline. This section starts with the 5 precepts and the Uposatha observance. And the last section here is about meditation. Starts with the development of loving kindness, the 4 divine abodes, and the last one, insight, surpasses all. That's for chapter 5, the way to a fortunate rebirth. So chapter 4 talks about happiness in this present life, and chapter 5 talks about fortunate rebirth. So this is a very systematic way to read the sutta. Yeah? This is why Bhikkhu Bodhi write this book, to have some structure inside the sutta, yeah? So that we read it progressively. And then let's take a look quickly at chapter 6 as well, deepening one's perspective on the world. Okay, when I read this book, I think this has been always my favorite chapter. We start off this chapter with 4 wonderful things, and then gratification, danger, and escape. Before my enlightenment, I set out seeking, and then if there were no gratification. The 3rd chapter, properly appraising objects of attachment. And the 4th section, the pitfalls in sensual pleasures. Cutting off all affairs, the viewer of sensual pleasures. The 5th section, life is short and fleeting. And the 6th, 4 summaries of the Dhamma. The danger infused, which consists of 3 suttas, a miscellany on wrong view, the blind man and the elephant, held by 2 kinds of views. The 8th section, from the divine realms to the infernal. And the last one, the perils of samsara, which is illustrated by 2 suttas, the stream of tears and the stream of blood. So that's an overview of what's to come, of what we're going to read. Any questions or comments from you before we end the session for today? Okay, if not, would Sister Chekon like to do the dedication?
Here remain again. May we be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, thanks, Sister Chekon. Have a tranquil Thursday ahead. Thanks, everyone, and see you guys again next time.